Hi, everybody, and welcome to Quillpen's Quips, Knitting, and More podcast. This is episode 2. I'm Betsy, and today I am actually on vacation. My mom and I decided to come up and visit my sister. She just lives a little bit north of us, so we decided to come visit her. We had a special baby shower to go to, and so we decided to make a whole week of it. So I'm there now, and I will have been gone for a whole week by the time this is done, and I can't even believe it. I mean, I'm kid-free. My amazing, wonderful, attractive, smart, funny, strong, every other positive adjective you could think of husband was totally willing to stay at home with the boys all by himself for a whole week. And he didn't even bat an eye when I asked him if this was going to be something I could do. And so he's pulling daddy duty all by himself, and they're having guy time, and I think they're having a lot of fun. And I'm able to be here for a whole week with my mom and my sister, having a lot of fun, and be kid-free and get to do fun stuff. And I kind of sleep in a little bit, and I get to knit as much as I want to knit, and we've been going to yarn shops and art galleries and out to eat, and I can eat all the food on my own plate, and I don't have to share with little friends that eat too. So it's just been a lot of fun, and so we're not even done. We have a couple more days, but I thought I would go ahead and shoot the podcast while I was here because I don't have to deal with kids, and I don't have to maneuver around nap time or questions or needs, and I can just kind of do my own thing. And so that's why the background behind me is not my normal house. So I'm at a hotel. So I have so many fun things to tell you about today. I am really excited about this episode. And to get started, I wanted to give a shout out to some of the new people that have joined my podcast Ravelry group, which is the Quillpen's Quips podcast, and just those that joined and introduced themselves in the Introduce Yourself thread. And this is something that I've seen one or two other podcasters do, and I just love it. And I always feel really special when they do my shout out. And so I wanted to do that for you guys today. So we have 3 new members that joined and introduced themselves. And we have Chiefy, which is Pam, and S. Jestep, who is Stacy, and Mimon Knits, who is Debbie. So I just wanted to say hi and welcome to you guys, and thanks for tuning into the podcast, and thanks for joining the Ravelry group. And if anyone else is watching that hasn't yet joined the Ravelry group and introduced themselves, please do so. I would love to get to know you and give you a shout out on the next podcast. And so thank you to any returning viewers. I appreciate you coming back. And if this is your first time tuning in, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for giving me a try. This is a podcast about knitting and crocheting and designing and being a mom and just doing it all together. So let's get started. Okay, first we're going to start with what is off my needles, on my needles, and what is going to be on my needles. So I did finish the 10 blocks for my unfinished object challenge this session that I was working on the last podcast. I had 7.5 done, and I did finish all 10 of those, but I did not bring them with me on this trip to show you. But I did finish, and I posted a picture into our UFO Ravelry group just in case for something comes up and I'm not able to make it to that final meeting. So that's all done. But last week was the 5 shawls in 5 days challenge that I was talking to you about, and I loved it. Oh my gosh, guys, it was so much fun, and I learned so much, and I am just bursting at the seams with shawl design. ideas now. So I wanted to show these to you. And all of my mini shawls are knit out of this. I do not have good lighting here. I am so sorry. I have every single light in my room on, plus the window shades all the way up, and it still feels very dark in here. But this is Kismet Fiberworks in their Simple Sock in the Lucky Penny colorway. I think it's Lucky Penny. So that's what I was using. This was from my stash. I made a sweater out of this a year or two ago, and so I had that left over. But first was the triangular shawl. Look at how cute that is. Oh my goodness, I love it. This was triangular. This was day one, and then this is also day one. This is the winged triangular, which was a variation that she offered just in case you had done a lot of triangular shawls and were really, really tired of it. So that is the winged triangular. The wings come up a little bit more. Then we have the 3/4, which I actually really enjoyed this one. I feel like this lends itself, like really kind of lends itself to a lot of designs with the sort of just big open blocks. But she kind of said that not a lot of people use this shape, but I really liked that shape. Then we had the crescent, and here we're getting into ones I made while we were on the trip, so I didn't have good blocking material, so it's a little rolly. But this is the crescent. This is this was super easy. This was a super easy one to design. I can see why there are lots of crescents out there, and this is actually the shape I'm using for my first shawl design project that I've got going on right now. This is the circular shawl all the way around. This was a little fiddly to get started. You can start on DPNs or Magic Loop, and I started on DPNs, and it was definitely a little tricky to get started as you're maneuvering just a few stitches on a lot of needles. But once you got going, it was super simple. And this one I didn't get to block well, but there is a really pretty sort of design at the little sections. So that was really fun. And I really think this would be, I have this desire to knit / design, because I can't really find good patterns, a tree skirt, a Christmas tree skirt. And even though this is in the round, I think if you were to just separate at one of these seams and make it 2 edges so they could kind of overlap a little bit as you wrap it around the tree, I think this could make a really fun, especially if you did like a cable down the sections or something, I don't know. But so that's going to percolate in my brain for a little while, because I would really love to have a hand knitted tree skirt for Christmas time. And then the last one was the asymmetrical, where it gets really thin on one side and then it's you're increasing on one side and decreasing on the other, basically. The asymmetrical one. And this one was also really easy. This was the only one, other than the circular, that didn't start with a garter tab cast on. So I got really good at garter tab cast on the first few days, but it was kind of nice to have one that didn't start with garter tab. So this was a really easy construction too, and I think this would be a fun one to knit up a design for in the future too. So those are my 5, except for me it's 6 because of the winged variation. 5 shawls in 5 days challenge, and she has an ebook out. If you missed this challenge and are now kicking yourself and thinking, man, I wish I'd done that, she does have an ebook out with 15 shawl shapes and then their designs and their charts, how to chart them, especially if you're trying to figure out like a lace pattern and how do you chart it with the increases. She's got an ebook that talks about it all. So it's a Roha Knits. If you look her up on Ravelry or her website, you can find the ebook, and so I'd highly recommend that too. I am definitely going to be getting the ebook when I get home and paying attention to some of the charts, because as I've been doing my design while I've been here on vacation, the math and the charting is tricky. It's hard if you don't really know what you're doing, which I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm excited to get some more information from her ebook. So that is my 5 shawls in 5 days challenge. So then I was going to show you my cross stitch, because I finished the 10 blocks pretty quickly after the last podcast, I think within the next couple of days. But so like I think I finished on a Thursday or a Friday, but the 5 shawls in 5 days wasn't going to start until Monday. And if you remember from the first podcast, I am a monogamous knitter. I only knit one thing at a time, but I keep that within genres. So I have one knitting project, one crochet project, one design project going at a time, and then I also have a cross stitch project. So really, I don't sound monogamous, but I am within each genre. So I knew I couldn't start a new knitting project until the 5 shawls in 5 days was done. And I wasn't going to get a whole knitting project done in those 3 days. So I pulled out the cross stitch to work on. And what I started is the Christmas stocking for my youngest son. He was born last September, but I didn't get it done before Christmas last year. He just had a little plain red stocking. But in our family, we cross stitch all of our stockings. So I have a cross stitch stocking, my husband does, the oldest son does, and so everybody gets one. And so this is Dimensions pattern. This is the Tall Hat Snowman stocking. And this is so cute. I just love it. And we picked it out for him before we even knew we were having him. We tend to stock up on cross-stitch stockings because they're a little hard to find in designs that we like. And so we stock up. So we had this one picked out before we even had a baby to give it to. But this is as far as I got. I got all the stars done, and then the snowman cheeks, and then I'm starting the top where the name will go in the middle here. So I'm starting these long red bars, and then after that will be there's a little bird, cardinal, and then the scarf will have the red, and then I'll just move on from there. So that's my cross stitch. You wanna, I don't know if you can see it any closer, little stitches. So that's kind of been a fun interim project, and I'll probably keep doing that obviously from now until Christmas in between projects. That's my filler. But today is August 1st. I've been waiting and waiting for August 1st. I can't even tell you how excited I was to cast these on. First thing I did this morning, got up, cast these stitches on. I had to figure out this cast on method because I had never used it before. But this is for the Gilmore Girls Knit Along that is being put on by Cece and Dammy from Geeky Girls Knits and the Knitting Broomstick podcast, Vegan Jilly. So all of them are teaming up to do the Gilmore Girls Knit Along. It goes from August 1st. You have to cast on August 1st or later. It goes to the end of September. You can make anything you want. You just have to be able to convince them that it somehow relates to Gilmore Girls. And let's see if I get this right, the finished object thread is on the Geeky Girls Knits podcast, and the chatter thread is on the Knitting Broomstick Ravelry group. I think I'm right about that. Finished objects for Geeky Girls Knits, chatter, and the Knitting Broomstick. And you have to be a member of both groups to participate and be eligible for the prizes. And they have some awesome prizes. They have a lot of prizes too. Like, there's a decent chance to win. So I am making the Where You Lead I Will Follow socks from Cece of Java Pearl Designs, who is from the Geeky Girls Knits podcast. So it has this really pretty lacy pattern, and it's like it mimics Lorelai and Rory as they kind of drift apart and then come back together, and then drift apart and come back together. It's just so cool, and I didn't get the sock kit when it came out. I didn't get it, and so Never again. I will never miss another sock kit. I didn't get this special self-striping yarn that was designed specifically for Gilmore Girls. It's a Gilmore Girls inspired dye, because each color stripe represents a different character in the show. So I don't have that yarn, but instead I am using this, which is so pretty. I wish it was showing up better. It's like this aqua blue and then a lighter teal and white and gray, and it really just makes me think of just wide open spaces and blue skies, and I think that really fits for this where you lead, I'll follow, kind of wherever the blue skies take us. And this is Into the World, WHIRL, world. This is their hand-painted Bakuva sock in the Pamukkale colorway. I'll have that in the show notes. But it's really pretty. And so this is my toe. I've only gotten the toe done. And this was new to me. I've never ever done toe up socks. I've done a lot of socks, but they've always been cuffed down. So I've never done a toe up sock. So I hope this is what it's supposed to look like. I don't love doing it on Magic Loop. I've always knitted socks on DPNs, and I might end up switching over to something else soon, now that I've got the toe done and I got the cast on and the little fiddly few stitches. I'm past that now. I'm about to start the what is next? I know I finished the toe, so I'm just starting the foot. That makes sense. The foot. So I'm starting the actual lace pattern, the charted instructions. And this is a really nice pattern because she has, I kind of mentioned this on the last podcast for a crochet project, but she has the chart and the written instructions. And so whichever way you do best, she has both options there. And I like this because you can learn how to read a chart. If you've never learned how to read a chart and you're only having done written instructions, this is a good way to put them side by side and see how it works when it's written compared to the chart. Because learning to read a chart is so valuable. I remember reading an article a long time ago, like before I started knitting, before I started really knitting. I might have been interested. So probably like 2 years ago, I was reading an article from this famous designer. I don't even know, they're interviewing some designer. And they asked her what one piece of advice she would give a new knitter. And her piece of advice was to learn to read a chart, because chart, and I'm only taking this from her, I don't know if this is completely true, but chart symbols are basically universal. Obviously the written word is not. So say you're in another country visiting, say you go visit Japan, and you come across a book of knitting patterns, and it's all written in Japanese, and you don't understand that, but there's charts, and you recognize those symbols. You can then make that pattern, even if you don't understand Japanese. And so, by learning to read a chart, she said, virtually every pattern in the world is available to you, even if you're limited by the language that you know. If you only know 1 or 2 languages and you find a pattern that you love that's written in a different one, and Google Translate just isn't cutting it for you, knowing how to read the chart can make it all possible. So I really took that to heart, and I wanted to learn charts, and so I'm really glad I did. So I'm excited again to do that with both, just to make sure that I'm doing the chart correctly. But I also want to show you this bag. This is my Quillpen. I think technically it's just quills, but I call it my Quillpen project bag. This is I got this from Knit Picks. It's perfect for me, guys. I think technically it's called a large notions bag, but it's really great for a small project. I mean, I've got 1 skein of yarn, and I could easily fit 2 or 3 more in there, and my my knitting notebook and my patterns, and my notions bag was in there, but it's over there. But my Quillpen bag. I love it. After I finish those socks, which socks normally don't take me too long, so it's going to depend on whether the how difficult the pattern is and how long it takes me to kind of memorize or whatever. Also starting today is the Sherlock Along from the Knitting Broomstick. This would have allowed whips, but I didn't have any whips to do. And the Gilmore Girls, in my mind, the Gilmore Girls Knit Along takes precedence. It's a little bit more important to me than the Sherlock Along, so I'm doing that one first. Even though Sherlock Along only runs the month of August, so you have to finish it by the end of August. So hopefully that'll only take me a week or so, and then I can cast on some socks in this gorgeous colorway for the Sherlock Along. Same kind of thing. You can knit anything you want. You just have to somehow convince them that it's related to Sherlock. And it can be any Sherlock. It doesn't have to be like Sherlock, the BBC show. It can be from the actual books. It can be from any version of Sherlock movies. It can be from Elementary, I think, too. Like, just any kind of version of Sherlock Holmes that you want it to relate to. So this is Wild Hair Fiber Studio in their Pinnacle Fingering Honey Badger colorway. What's especially exciting about this yarn is that it glows under black light. I am very excited about it. I actually got to test it. I bought this at Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival, and so they had a little like thing, and you could put the black light and test the yarn so you could see what it looks like, and it was so cool. And one of the reasons I especially love this is because it's gonna match my bowling attire. I like to be coordinated when I go bowling, and my bowling ball is black and white swirled, and my shoes are black and white. They look like the old saddle shoes, kind of. And so one of our favorite things to do bowling is colored pin bowling or moonlight bowling. And it was more fun in Colorado than it is in Virginia. But you go it's usually late at night, like midnight. And there's colored pins. And so depending on the colored pins, okay, this is how it went in Colorado. It does not go this way in Virginia because the gambling laws are different and you can't win money. But in Colorado, depending on how the colored pins were set up in the initial setup, your shot could be worth money. So if you bowled a strike, then you would win, like for certain configurations, it was $1, some were $5. Some of the harder configurations were more money if you were able to take it out. And then you can do usually strike pots, and there's just lots of fun stuff in colored pin bowling, but it's all done under black light, so the colored pins glow. So anything that's white tends to glow. And so these would glow. So not only would the white in my shoes glow, but my socks would glow too if I wore these bowling. So that's initially what I picked them out for, because it was black and white and glows under black light, which I also think makes it apply to Sherlock. Sort of the fact that he sees things that other people should be able to see, but once he tells them about it, it's obvious, and they glow to them, but until he shines that particular perspective on it, no one can see it. So I think that's what I'm going to do for Sherlock after. And this is in my Providence Handmade project bag. She makes really, really cute bags. I actually got to meet her, Stephanie, at a knitting retreat that I went to, Stephanie behind Providence Handmade. And she makes lots of different sizes and fabrics and all sorts of different patterns and configurations, and it's a really nice bag. So that's being held in that right now. And then I do have a design project that's hiding in my Clever Clementine That Clever Clementine yarn bowl, fabric yarn bowl, which I love because when you have little kids in the house and sometimes yarn bowls fall off their surface, I don't have to worry about cracking a gorgeous pottery yarn bowl. So this is really nice. It's also big enough to hold the project and the yarn and some notions and everything. So this is my design, and I can't really show it to you, but it is the crescent. It's a crescent shaped shawl, but I did want to show you these. Technically, this is getting into my next little section of stash enhancement that we did while we were traveling. But look at these cute little things I got. You might all have seen these before and be like, those are old news, Betsy. Like, everybody has those. But these are tulip-shaped point protectors. Oh my goodness, I love them. The only point protectors I've ever seen are the like colorful triangle ones that are, they're fine, but they're boring. But these are so cute. They make me very excited, especially since as my shawl is growing, because you increase on every row, I'm more and more worried that it's going to slide off these needles. But and these needles are my Knitter's Pride marbles. These are size 8, I believe. But so those are my pretty blue marbly my knitting needles for that design project. But I love my little tulip point protectors. Okay, enough about that, and on to the more fun stash enhancement. We'll start with another notion. I got myself 9-inch circulars. I'm very excited. I've heard suddenly 9-inch circulars are popping up everywhere. Everyone's talking about them and how amazing they are and how they just make sock knitting go so much faster. So I'm very, very excited to use these. I might be switching over my my Gilmore Girls socks to these. If not, I will definitely be doing the Sherlock socks. For Sherlock socks, I'm just going to do a plain kind of vanilla sock, I think. So I might do these. So I found those at a yarn shop here, and I went ahead and got them in case I happen to finish my Gilmore Girls socks and cast on new ones by tomorrow before we leave. Okay, so there's gonna be a little bit of crinkliness, I'm sorry, but we first went to sort of the most local yarn shop, and it's going out of business, and so everything was on sale. So we went there first, and I got these 2 kits from Wonderland Yarns, Down the Rabbit Hole. This is their Cheshire Cat fingering weight sock yarn in a gradient kit. You really can't see the gradients too well in here, but it starts kind of a lighter blue and then kind of comes to a purple. You really can't see them. It looks like that's all blue, but it is gradient. And this is the With What Porpoise colorway. I tend to get colorways that have awesome names. And then this is a red. This is the Off With Her Red colorway, and this really is a bright red, all the way down to sort of like a burgundy. I wish that was showing up better. I'm sorry. This one has a design project kind of already in mind to be. This one I don't know yet. It will be something probably for me. I don't think I'm going to turn this red one into a design, but we'll see. As it speaks to me in my stash, we'll see. But so I got those, and I got them on sale from the closeout sale, so that was exciting. Then we went to a different yarn shop the next day. We also interspersed the yarn shops with fabric shops because my mom is a quilter, and she's making a couple of quilts for a few of her grandkids. And so we had to pick out some backing fabric for some things and stuff for her. So we didn't just go to yarn shops for me. We did go to other things. But we went to this other shop that was a little bit further away. Very, very nice. Nature's Yarns is the name of the shop. They are on Ravelry. They have really fun knit-alongs, it looks like, that I think probably anybody can join in if you're on their Ravelry group and see it. And they were a really nice yarn shop. They had some great classes. It looks like they'd be fun. But their cool thing about them was they had a yarn bar. Have you ever been to a yarn shop that has a yarn bar? I had never have. They have some tables set up when you first walk in with yarn and knitting needles, and you can knit with it. You can play around with this yarn and actually experience it first. And then those yarns that are on the yarn bar are available for purchase on sale. Those are put on sale for that month. They change it out every month. And so I think that's a really cool idea to let people actually test some yarn and kind of see how it plays and how it feels, and then they can purchase that on sale. So that was really unique. I've never seen that before. But I found this gorgeous stuff. This is Classic Elite Yarns. This is Chateau, and this one is Chalet. It's kind of covered up by the sticker. But basically the Chalet is, or Shallot, I think it's Chalet, are undyed. And the Chateau are dyed. So this is a gray and a red. Again, this is a pretty true red. It's kind of looking a little burnt orangey on the thing. This is so soft. This is a, this is a 70% baby alpaca, 30% bamboo. It's so soft. I got a decent amount of these. This is going to be some sort of striped sweater or stripy shawl, something luxurious that I'm going to never ever want to take off. And I love it. And I was very, very excited to find something this fun and this soft and just this kind of perfect kind of colorway for me. So that was next. Then we went to another one. We went to, this one was Fiberspace, I'm sorry. Fiberspace in Alexandria. And this one definitely had a lot more indie dyers, a lot of the companies that are sometimes hard to find in just your average yarn shop. And so that was pretty exciting to me. So I got a Miss Babs. I had never heard of Miss Babs. Have you guys heard of Miss Babs? This is, I first heard of Miss Babs in Maryland Sheep and Wool that we went to back in May. And all I knew about it was that it was the booth with the major long line where people would wait for hours just to get into the booth. And then people would wait for hours just to pay for what they had picked out. And that there's like colorways that people have to have, and they're all a little different. I didn't understand the draw to Miss Babs. So they had Miss Babs at this yarn shop, and I didn't have to wait forever and a decade in line to get it. So this is, there's like this deep, deep purple, like a plum, to kind of lighter purple, a little bit of pink flecks and white and some gray and black. This is gorgeous. This is their Morticia, the Morticia colorway. So a little nod to the Addams family there, and it's gorgeous and I love it. And it's going to be some really beautiful socks, I think. So I got some Miss Babs. So I get to experience Miss Babs and see what all the love is about. I also got this, which I think is Miss Babs. Yes, this is Miss Babs. This is chunky yarn. This is for a design project. I have actually been seeking some really good gray. This is called Slate. This is Slate colorway. Gray, chunkier weight yarn. And this is 3-ply. Yeah, 3-ply. So I think this is going to work really perfectly for a design idea I have for a cowl and a hat set. So I got that in a nice plain gray, which I'm still really excited about. It's still very soft and it feels good on your skin. Then I got the Neighborhood Fiber Company. This is their studio sock in Old Town East, which I felt like I had to have because this yarn shop was in Old Town. I don't know whether we were east or west, but look at this. I don't even think it's going to do it justice. This is the most gorgeous tonal blue you could imagine. It just goes from like the light teal to these deep aquas to almost a navy with almost some purpliness in there. So I love this. This will probably also be some socks. But I'm very excited about that. So that is all of my stash enhancement. I promise I don't normally buy this much yarn at a time, but they were good deals and special things that I can't get at home usually, and I'm on vacation, so we're splurging a little bit. But I don't normally buy that much yarn at a time. But oh, along with the stash enhancement in terms of yarn, and then those point protectors that I got, we also got some fun project bags. This one we got from Fiberspace, free with our purchase, which is actually really cute. It's got these handles, like pretty big, legit handles, and yeah, a yarn universe. And then it has these drawstrings here, which I really like that the drawstrings are not the handles. A lot of bags make the drawstring become the handle. So I kind of like that this has actual handles, although this is not the sturdiest of project bags. The fabric is rather flimsy, so I wouldn't put something too terribly heavy in here. And I wouldn't risk any loose, sharp objects like my scissors loose in there or something, because I would imagine it would be pretty easy to poke through. But it was so cool to have the shop name right on there. And then purchased project bag because it's a really cute tote called Knit and Let Knit, which is it's just cute. So we got that as well. So that was a super fun stop. We will not be going to any more yarn shops on our trip. We are done. We are done yarn shopping. Okay, so that's it for anything fibery, yarn related. So we're going to move on to the next section. This is a section where I talk about what I'm reading and watching. And Hamilton, guys, top of the list. I realize I'm a little late to the game, but I'm in the game now. Soundtrack has been fully experienced at my volume, the volume I needed to be because of my hearing loss. The show book has been read. Some of it has been reread. That show book is awesome. You really get a good look at behind the scenes. If anybody watched the TV show Smash, that was a few years ago now. It was only on for 2 seasons, but it was a behind the look scenes of putting on a Broadway musical, and this show book is that for real life, and it really talks about kind of how Hamilton, the show, came about, what was going on behind the scenes, how they picked actors, what inspiration he got for his different rhymes, and how they fit the hip-hop world in, and just, I mean, it was fascinating. It was absolutely fascinating. And so now I'm fully in, right? I'm diving headfirst into the Hamilton world. And as we were driving up here, I had my mom listen to the soundtrack and was kind of telling her some of the behind the scenes stuff as we were listening to it. And so she's really into it now. And so now we're both like, we need to know the actual history behind it. So we had a coupon to Barnes & Noble plus our member discount. And so we got the Ron, excuse me, the Ron Chernow biography of Hamilton, which is the book that inspired the writer of the Hamilton the musical. And so, you know, it's only like 700 pages. So shouldn't take us too long, right? So that'll be a quick read. Some light summer reading. Everybody needs that. Yeah, but I actually am really excited to kind of see what inspired it. You know, reading this and what was like, oh my goodness, this needs to be a hip hop musical. And just kind of where I know that he had to take some dramatic liberties, some creative liberties with the show, consolidate some characters and things like that, and change the timeline of history a little bit. So I'm kind of excited to read the real version. So I won't be getting through this anytime soon, but at least it's available. So that's top of the list. We've also been, well, let me stick with books. I finished the Richard Castle book I was reading last time, and now I'm on to the final one. And I was wrong last time. There are 6 books in the series, I believe, and the last one was 5th. This is 6th. And there's something different about this one. This is a little bit of a spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the final episode of Castle and you care about it, then I suggest you skip ahead a little bit because I'm about to kind of give away some things. So, spoiler alert, skip ahead. If you're still here, you don't care that I'm about to spoil this for you. The final episode of the TV show Castle, they came back to their apartment thinking it was all done, and the guy was waiting for them, and he shot them both, and it looked pretty final, right? You don't know if they're gonna make it. Then, so they're like laying there bleeding out from these gunshot wounds, and it cuts to a blank apartment, like an empty apartment, and the voiceover going on, you don't see any people, but the conversation that you hear is the conversation that Castle and Kate Beckett had at the very beginning. Season 1, like when they first met, when he first wrote his book about her. So it goes back to the very first conversations, right? Blank apartment, and then you see the 2 of them with a bunch of kids. Their kids. Little family living in the apartment. Now, the official version, right, when you look up online what happened, the official version says that they miraculously got saved. Somebody, Javi rushed in, I don't know, saves them, gets them to the hospital or whatever. They survive, and then they go on to have kids and have a happy family. I take some issue with that. My husband and I think what it's really saying, that whole blank, the empty apartment, and then the conversation from the beginning, the first meeting, we think might mean that all of the show stuff, all the episodes we've been watching, all of the drama that they just went through that ultimately was getting them shot, was really his book material. And that none of that actually happened to them in real life, and they were having kids and a happy family at home. So it's almost as if it would rewound back to the beginning, empty apartment, and as they got that apartment was because they were going to have a family. I don't know that I explained that very well. But those are kind of the 2 opposing schools of thought. Now, in all of the books up until now, in this back description, the bottom says something like, Mr. Castle lives in Manhattan with his mother and daughter. That's usually what it says, right? His mother Martha, his daughter Alexis. This one says, Mr. Castle lives in Manhattan with his family, all of whom infuse his life with humor and inspiration. With his family, we jumped from mother and daughter to family, all of whom. And I think that might sort of defend my theory that he now has a whole family. But I could be wrong. But I found that to be very interesting. I haven't actually gotten started on the book. I've read, I think, not even the first page. My bookmark is on page 1. But I read all of the background stuff first to see if there's any little clues like that. Like that one. And that really jumped out at me because it's different. Something changed. So that's my theory on that. We've also been watching Person of Interest. We've been going back I think I said that we don't ever actually watch things on TV at the time that they're aired. So we just finished Blacklist what we could on Netflix, and so while we're waiting, we kind of missed the season transition. We couldn't then jump in on TV yet because it was past season 3 had already started. So we're waiting for season 3 of Blacklist. So we're going back and watching Person of Interest, which is sort of the prequel to Blacklist. We feel like Person of Interest probably got dismissed because Blacklist came out. But we're watching Person of Interest. And it's been really funny because my husband and I are really good at the long distance date nights. We did this when we were actually dating because he lived in Colorado and I lived in Virginia, and we're doing it now because I'm here and he's back at home. And so we both queue up Netflix, and then we're like, okay, go, and we hit start. So we're both watching the same episode at the same time, far apart, and we'll be like texting each other like, she's so creepy, and who do you think that is, and is he bad, or, you know, I don't know. We have a lot of fun with it. So we've been watching Person of Interest that way. And it has the main guy in Person of Interest is the guy from The Count of Monte Cristo. The other main guy in Person of Interest is the guy from Lost, that the whole time through you never knew whether he was good or bad or innocent or creepy. And he's kind of that way in this one too. He goes back and forth. So the guy from Lost, and it has the lady from Empire, and now it has the girl from Life. If you watch the TV show Life, about the guy who went to prison for 12 years for a crime he didn't commit and then came back out, his partner, the girl that plays that guy's partner, is in Person of Interest. So it's like this big conglomeration of all these other TV shows, and it's kind of messing with my mind. But it's a cute show. We're enjoying it. But that's basically covering what I'm reading and watching, or intending to read, and what I'm watching. So we're going to move on to the next segment. This segment is Signs of the Day. So since we're here with family for a baby shower, I thought I would show you some family signs. Now, there are lots of family signs, especially in the ways families take on different configurations in today's society. So I can't teach you all of those signs in one podcast. So please do not take offense at the signs that I choose. I'm just going to do the very basic mom, dad, daughter, son, brother, sister. Those are the 6 signs I'm going to teach you because I don't want to overwhelm you. And you have to draw a line somewhere. So, first sign is mom. It's a 5 hand, and your thumb touches your chin, it technically is right in front of your face. I'm kind of turning for the sake of you being able to see. This is mom, dad. Mom, dad. And my 10-month-old can sign dad, but he tends to do this. He signs this for dad and this for mom, but we're getting there. So mom and dad. Then daughter is the sign for girl and baby. So daughter, you can't even see me. Daughter, you're bringing your hands like you're cradling a baby. And this is following like the old bonnet strings. So girl, baby is daughter. You just kind of do it quick, daughter. Then son is boy, is from boy. So I'm also teaching you girl and boy and baby. Boy that's a baby. So son, kind of quick. Then we have sister, which is the same sign for girl, sister. And you take your index fingers. The hand that does the sign for girl is the one that comes on top. So this one just kind of hangs out with the index finger pointing away from you. And then this one comes right on top. Sister. And then brother is boy that comes down to this. Brother. Okay? So, mom, dad, daughter, son, sister, brother. Those are your 6 signs for the day. One more segment, because can we talk about the shirt that I'm wearing? This is, let me see if I can stand up. so you can see it. You can kind of see my little baby bump too. But this is stockinette stitch, guys. This is a Lulu Row shirt. Sorry, I just creakled over a bag. This is Lulu Row. I do not in any way sell Lulu Row, so don't take this as an advertisement. I mean, it's kind of an advertisement. I'm not trying to sell you anything. This is their perfect tee. And it has the knitting pattern on it. I saw it on one of, the groups I'm in on Facebook. They're having a little sale, and I was like, I'm just going to browse. Only going to purchase if the pattern is something I absolutely have to have. And then I saw this, and I was like, I can't not purchase that. This shirt is so comfortable. I'll give it that. Like, I love their clothing, but the stockinette stitch, I thought that was very, very special. So I was very excited that it came in time to bring on the trip so that I could wear it for the podcast and be all fibery and knitting fanatic on my podcast. But, so, that was just something a little extra. So, that's all that I have for you today. Thanks for tuning in. You can find me on Ravelry. I am Quillpen. The group for the podcast is Quillpen's Quips Podcast, so check that out. Be sure to join the group and also introduce yourself on the Introduce Yourself thread. And there's a thread there for any questions. If you have any questions for me about the podcast or knitting or crocheting or designing or signs or anything about the podcast, you're welcome to ask on there, and I will try to answer them on a future podcast. You can find me on Instagram. I am Quillpen, but I also have Quillpen's Quips podcast on Instagram too that you can follow. That's more podcast specific information. So follow me on there. I'm on YouTube, and make sure that you click like or click subscribe on YouTube so that you don't miss any future episodes. And you can find the episode and show notes on the Ravelry group. I'll have a thread for that. And I think that's everything. So have a great week, guys. Have fun knitting, and I'll see you next time. Bye.